Hello to all of you wonderful moms out there. This is episode 44 of the Solve for Mom podcast, the show where you learn how to pursue your meaningful goals by first creating balance at home and at work. I'm your host, Anoki Kapasi. Did you ever notice that you're constantly needing to be everything to everyone? Often all at once even, from a chef to a nurse, to teacher, to project manager. Did you wish that there was a better way to tackle the endless stream of daily challenges that come your way? As moms, we face an endless stream of daily challenges. Today, I'm sharing a game-changing approach that revolutionized how I address the constant problem-solving demands as a busy mom to my home life and at work. Drawing from my background as a PhD researcher, I discovered a powerful learning hack that completely transformed how I approach daily challenges. This isn't just another productivity tip. It's a whole new way of thinking that will help you become more efficient and confident in handling whatever life throws at you. So, if you're ready to upgrade your problem-solving skills and become a more resourceful version of yourself, grab your favorite note-taking tool and I can't wait to share it with you. Are you looking for a way to blend success and motherhood without losing sight of who you are? I get it. I've been there too. Hi, I'm Anoki, a PhD researcher, business owner, and homeschooling mom of 2 boys. As your life coach, I help moms like you create a life you love at home and at work. If you're ready to stop feeling overwhelmed, overscheduled, and overlooked, and you want a clear roadmap to a balanced life, a meaningful career, and finally feeling like yourself again while still being the amazing mama that you are, you're in the right place. In this complex equation we call life, it's time to sharpen our pencils and our minds and solve for mom. Before we start, I want to make sure that you tap the follow button by subscribing to the show. It'll appear on your playlist automatically every week, and you'll save yourself a lot of time instead of hunting down the episodes. Okay, now back to the show. As moms, we face an endless stream of daily challenges. That's why today, I'm sharing a game-changing approach that revolutionized how I address the constant problem-solving demands as a busy mom to my home life and at work. Sometimes it can feel so overwhelming by being everything to everyone at once. Or when you put out one fire, whether it's at work or at home, and then you turn around and have to deal with another problem. What if there was a useful way to tackle daily problems, one that allows you to be more efficient and confident in handling life's challenges because it takes one set of knowledge that you acquire and lets you reapply it in multiple settings? Back when I was in grad school, I actually worked in a really interesting building. The first floor of the building was the pharmacy department. And it's where the pharmacy students came to get lecture and take a lot of their classes and do some of their practical work. And then each of the other floors in this building were basically research laboratories, but they differed in terms of their focuses by floors. So the next floor, I think, was biochemistry, and then the floor above that was where I worked, which was biomedical sciences, and then the floor above that was computational biology. And so at first glance, it's not really obvious why you would do this, because you would think, well, don't you want to focus all of the chemistry and pharmacy students in one area? And don't you want to focus all of the biological sciences and biomedical sciences in another area? Given that their work is so related, there might be more synergy through that type of proximity. But in fact, this was a really forward way of thinking of trying to integrate multiple disciplines together to create collaborations, and by essence, the synergy that's created through this sort of multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary setup actually would lead to novel ideas that would never have come about had there not been researchers that were coming from totally different lines of thinking. In my own home, my husband is extremely multidisciplinary as well. He is an engineer, and so he is really strong in electrical and mechanical engineering, which I've come to find out is actually not very common. And he has a very strong foundation in math, as well as having lots of practical experience in biological laboratories. And so he's often trying to come up with solutions in the areas of cancer research and other types of medical and clinical fields from an engineer's perspective, which is totally different from how I would be thinking coming from a molecular and cellular biology background. So it got me thinking, why don't I try to incorporate more of that type of thinking into my current life, to the daily challenges? I don't have to leave that just to scientific concepts. Now, there are definitely differences with the terms multidisciplinary or integrated approach or interdisciplinary. They all actually have slightly different meanings. But for the purposes of this episode, I'm kind of clumping them all together, but I'll be using the term interdisciplinary learning. So what is that? Interdisciplinary learning involves drawing knowledge from various different fields to solve problems, but often in very novel ways. It's about making connections between different areas of knowledge and then applying them in new ways. It's like connecting the dots in lots of different ways or seeing patterns across multiple fields of study. Or it could be taking the solution from one type of setting and then reapplying that and seeing if it helps solve the problem in a totally different setting. It also involves integrating, so taking multiple lines of thinking and blending them together, as I said, to creating a novel solution. There are lots of benefits to doing this, and once I started applying this in my own life, I started to really understand how powerful this is. For one, just at face value, trying this exercise of interdisciplinary thinking really enhances your cognitive skills. It really involves a lot of critical thinking. And so just like you would want to exercise a muscle and make it stronger, when you practice interdisciplinary thinking, it kind of forces you to make connections across different areas. So it does take practice, but you start building that muscle and it becomes a lot easier over time. Soon, it becomes easier to see patterns, to make those connections and say, hey, what if I take these things that I've learned recently and put them together and try using them to help me over here? When you expose yourself to interdisciplinary thinking, it actually both widens your knowledge and deepens it. So by nature of it being interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary, you are exposing yourself to lots of different ways of learning something, right? So take parenting, for example, right? We're all moms, we're all parents, and so you could be learning new parenting concepts and be thinking about it maybe from a developmental and biological perspective. And then maybe you are trying to also understand it from a psychological perspective to understand behaviors that are appropriate or not at different ages and how to build good habits with our kids. Or maybe you're coming from an educational perspective and trying to understand what are appropriate things to teach your kids at different ages. And so in this way, you are learning about parenting, that one topic you're trying to solve, how to be a better parent and how to help raise really strong, healthy kids, but you're pulling information and concepts from multiple different areas and integrating them. And so in a way, we've probably already been learning in a very interdisciplinary fashion without even knowing it. But it also deepens our knowledge. And so we're more likely for any given situation or problem end up not try to address it at just the surface level, but think about ways that we can really get to the root cause and address the problem at that core level. This type of thinking promotes trying to understand the complexities and the nuances of a situation rather than just turning things into black and white and coming up with binary solutions. Another benefit that I experienced was sort of increasing my ability to adapt and handle different challenges, because when I'm faced with a problem, instead of having a toolkit of just one tool, maybe one line of thinking, I feel more prepared because I've exposed myself to so many different sources of information from so many different fields. I guess an appropriate analogy would be like being a mixed martial artist rather than just a person who knows karate. And then a pretty natural benefit that comes out of this is that you're able to communicate better and collaborate better, because it's kind of like being able to speak lots of different languages, right? You kind of understand where different people are coming from, and so you're able to connect with them better because you've exposed yourself to so many different types of thinking. That makes you more open-minded, and it makes you more ready to receive information as well as share information. Again, I see this in my husband all the time. He has such proficiency in the types of people he can talk to. People who are working in fields and knowledgeable in areas that have nothing to do with his area of expertise, but because he has gained so much confidence in a variety of different fields, he's able to put together concepts and connect with people a lot better. And if you're in the position of needing to look for a job, or you want to switch, or you want to see what your options are, having an interdisciplinary background or the ability to think in such a way will really increase your career choices and your flexibility when it comes to work. Because in general, You're going to be highly sought after if you have a versatile skill set, especially if you have a versatile critical thinking skill set. So how do you go about acquiring interdisciplinary thinking skills? Well, as I said before, you're probably already doing this as a mom. Here are some examples of interdisciplinary learning that's already showing up in your life without you maybe even knowing it. If you like to meal plan, well, that is combining nutritional science and budgeting and time management skills all together. Let's say you're in charge of your family routines. Well, that's integrating organizational psychology, child development, and also you have to have knowledge in project management. Maybe you are the primary manager for your home. You're probably using principles from logistics and economics and even environmental science. And the fact that you're a mom and that people are probably coming to you to help them with the problems that they have, let alone any of the other challenges that come up in the day that you have to solve, you are a problem solver. So that means that you are, in essence, a bit of a scientist. You're drawing from the scientific method, you're using critical thinking, and you probably have to tap into some creative processes as well. Now, those might have all been kind of coincidental rather than intentional choice of interdisciplinary thinking. But there are some practical steps if you want to become a more intentional interdisciplinary thinker. So here are some things you can try. One is to just be exposed to new ideas and new concepts on a regular basis, okay? Just by virtue of exposing yourself and keeping an open mind. For example, I have taken economics in college. I didn't take any really in high school. And I found it really challenging. And even to this day, things that are happening in the real world, the markets, and just basic economics, I constantly need my husband to kind of explain to me because he's really good at modulating how to move the conversation, whether it's down a level or up a level. Because I want to strengthen my understanding and be a little more self-sufficient, I am trying to read and listen on that topic. So I haven't gained a confident level of proficiency yet, but I do see myself starting to recognize terms and understand things a little better. Now I have knowledge in budgeting and project management and many other ways of managing resources, but now I want to supplement that with a stronger foundation in economics. The next thing to try is that when you do learn something new, challenge yourself to think about how many different ways you can apply it. Okay, how many different areas in your life? Can you apply it to parenting? Can you apply it to your work? Can you apply it to logistical issues you might have in your day for scheduling and transportation and things like that? Maybe you can apply it to your workout routine or even to managing your health. So try to take that knowledge and not just reapply it over and over to the same situation, but to lots of different areas. And the last thing I'll suggest on this topic today is to engage in conversations with people from various backgrounds. Okay, so that's kind of like what I was saying earlier about opening your mind and trying to learn about a topic that you don't have a lot of foundation in. But now try practicing talking with people about these new things that you're learning, or learn from them and receive information that you would never have otherwise received, because the way that you might get that information if you were reading a textbook or an article or a blog is different than when you're in conversation with a person. And that's why when you're developing friendships and going to different events, see if you can broaden the types of people that you're exposed to. So don't just have conversations with people that are like-minded. I know that's really nice, and we all want to have people that we can connect with because we share the same values and maybe even share the way we think. Sometimes it's really good to get ourselves a little uncomfortable and get exposed to opposing opinions, or to understand how somebody with a completely different background, whether it's culturally or educationally, might approach the same problem, because it's probably going to be different. And so by having conversations with a diverse group of people, you are starting to, in a practical sense, fuel your interdisciplinary learning. So today we explored how interdisciplinary learning can transform your problem-solving abilities as a busy mom. And so let's just recap what we talked about. Understanding interdisciplinary thinking, and this really, again, applies also to multidisciplinary or integrated approaches. These things can help you connect knowledge across different areas of life, find creative solutions to daily challenges, and build your confidence in more empowered decision-making. You also have a lot of real-life applications as a mom. I gave you some basic things, daily things like meal planning and family routines and home organization. And then I gave you 3 suggestions of how you can start incorporating interdisciplinary learning into your current life. So one is to have an open mind and start exposing yourself to subjects and topics that you wouldn't necessarily think about learning. And then 2, try to look for different ways that you can apply the knowledge that you're acquiring to lots of different settings. And then 3, make sure you engage with a diverse group of people so that you're being exposed to so many different ideas and lots of different ways of looking at things. And even if it's still a challenge for you to start connecting dots, but I promise you, the more you practice this, you will get better at it. At the very least, having an open mind and engaging in diverse conversations will make you a more empathetic person. It will help you see commonalities with people. And it might even be the antidote to division, where you might be talking to somebody and think, wow, this person thinks totally different than me and we don't share any values. As you start talking to them, and if you push yourself to start making connections, you might actually come to realize you have more things in common than you originally thought. And then that's exactly what I'm asking you to do in your daily life. Look around, because things that you thought had nothing to do with something else may actually be more connected than you thought. It could be that a challenge you're faced with may involve a solution that draws from, chemistry and music and geography all at the same time. So your homework this week is to take something that you've learned recently and see if you can apply that knowledge in a different context. And then I'd love to hear how this approach is working for you. If you want to share those aha moments with me, you can always contact me using the info in the show notes below. But another great way is to share through the Solve for Mom LinkedIn group, because I know that maybe trying to balance your work and family and dreams can really be a lonely ride. So I created the Solve for Mom LinkedIn group as a special place that'll make your journey so much easier. Our wonderful group is a treasure trove of helpful resources, friendly faces, and of course, direct access to me, because I'm always ready to chat with you personally. So here's all the goodness waiting for you. You have fresh episode updates and bite-sized summaries to keep you in the loop, beautiful visual guides, infographics, and checklists that you can save for later, an amazing group of fellow rockstar moms, and some awesome dads too, and even opportunities for you to post your questions that will then be part of future Q&A episodes. So ready to join our fantastic community? Join for free using the link in the show notes, or you can look up at Solve for Mom on LinkedIn. We can't wait to welcome you. I hope today's episode will help you create time and freedom to pursue something you love to do. If you enjoy this show, please subscribe and tell other ambitious mamas about it. Who knows, you might even make a new friend by sharing a tip. It's all free. By the way, it would be amazing to hear what you think about the show when you leave a review. After all, my passion is to make this a great experience for you. Thank you for making my show a part of your day. I'll see you next week for another episode of the Solve for Mom podcast with Anoki Kapasi.